Prathamam Sadgurum Vande Shri Krishnan Tadanantaram Guru Papatmanam Tratam Shri Krishnastvamalatmanam Aho Chitramaho Chitram Vande Tat Prema Bandhanam Yad Baddham Muktidam Muktam Brahma Krida Bhrigi Kritam Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tagvangha Devamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. The Divine Souls. This week I've been speaking to you on the topic of why do devotion to Radha and Krishna, and we spent most of the time understanding who Radha and Krishna is, who they are. And that allows us to understand the first point I made about why do devotion to Radha Krishna. The first point was that all the forms of God that you can worship are already included in Radha Krishna. So you can simply worship Radha Krishna and everyone will be satisfied. Everyone is already pleased with your devotion to Radha Krishna. The second point we can also understand with the help of some of the topics we've already covered this week. The second point is that the bliss that one receives by attaining Radha Krishna is the highest bliss in the divine world. We heard about Brahmanand, Aishwaryanand, and Premanand because the three main categories of God's forms are Brahm, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Brahm is formless God who is not revealing any of his powers, just like a rose bud. The bud is the same when it's a bud or it's a partial bloom or it's in full bloom. It's the same flower, but in different stages, different states of existence. So Brahm, formless God, is God, but with none of his qualities or powers revealed. So just like that rose's color, fragrance, beauty, it's all there, but it's hidden, it's dormant, it hasn't been activated yet. It's the same thing with Brahm, formless God. Now a partial bloom of that rose would be like Paramatma. That same Brahm, now some of the powers are being revealed. So some of the rose's beauty and fragrance and color is revealed, but not in totality. This is like Almighty God who reveals the form, the abode, many of the virtues, but there's still something held back. So in Bhagwan, in the form of Bhagwan, Ram, Krishna, all the powers are revealed like a rose in full bloom. It's the same Paramatma, same Brahm, but with the full qualities and powers revealed. That's why Shri Krishna is called Purnatam Purushottam Brahm, because he reveals the powers and qualities in totality. And consequently, the bliss also is enriched from Brahm to Paramatma to Bhagwan. The bliss of Premanand is such that if you wanted to understand, okay, well, when Brahm is already blissful, the bliss of Brahmanand is unlimited, perfect divine bliss. And the bliss of Aishwaryanand somehow is even greater than that. And the bliss of Premanand is the ultimate. How could it be like? Jagadguru Sri Kripaluji Maharaj gives this example or analogy. He says, you know how sweet sugar cane is? You just take the sugar cane and you can chew on it or squeeze the juice out of it, and it's such a sweet, refreshing drink. So the sugar cane itself is so sweet. Imagine if the sugar cane plant produced fruit. How sweet would that be? That is like the difference between Premanand and other types of divine bliss. It's like further evolved, further enriched. Take sandalwood. It's a tree that grows, but this tree produces no flower. The wood itself is so fragrant. Imagine if that tree produced a flower. What would the fragrance of that blossom be? This is like that Premanand. It's so much multiplied. So Premanand in its ultimate state is received from Radha Krishna. Whoever you worship, that is whom you will attain. So if you worship Radha Krishna, you will receive that highest bliss of the divine world called Premanand, which is actually sought after by Mahalakshmi herself. Yadvan Chaya Shrir Lalana Charatapo Vihaya Kaman Suchiram Vritadhritam. In the Bhagavatam, it's told that Mahalakshmi did austerities for many years just to get a taste of that Premanand. It's so amazing. And Shivji and Parvati even came running from Kailash abode to join in Maharas Leela because they also wanted to experience Premanand. So this is the second reason. First reason, all the forms of God are included in Radha Krishna. Second reason, the highest bliss of Premanand can be received when you attain Radha Krishna. And the third reason is the style of worship. Even that is different. It is called Raga Nuga Bhakti. There are two parallel paths of devotion. Raga Nuga Bhakti and Vaidhi Bhakti. Raga Nuga means according to the love of your heart and the love of the Brajwasis, the way they loved Radha Krishna. And Vaidhi means according to the Vidhi Nishedh of the Vedas. Vidhi Nishedh means do's and don'ts. You have heard, you may or may not follow all these rules, but I'm sure you've heard of most of them. What time do you have to get up and do devotion to God? Have a bath first. What type of clothing to wear, made out of what material? Then sit facing what direction? Say what mantra, in what order? How to pronounce it? Which shlok to say, which mantra to say? All of these regulations are stipulated in the Vedas. And the one who follows all these do's and don'ts while doing devotion to God is following the path of Vaidhi Bhakti. So in Vaidhi Bhakti, one is taught discipline, which is a very good thing, but there's also a fear that if I don't follow this rule, I'll be punished. So worship in Vaidhi Bhakti can be motivated more by fear than love. Well, if I don't do this, I'll get punished. Or if I do this wrong, I'll get punished. So Vaidhi Bhakti is a good way to start for many people. But where there's true love, there's no need for fear. If someone loves Radha and Krishna, they don't need to worry about, oh, if I love them wrong, I'll be punished. Just love them. Bhakti means the attachment of your heart to God. Love for God is bhakti. So in Raganuga Bhakti, this idea of right and wrong is all condensed into one right and one wrong. Smartavyah satatam Vishno vismartavyo na jatuchit sarve vidhini shedhah syureta yoreva kinkara. In the Padma Puran, Vedavyasji says, you want to condense all those hundreds and thousands of rules, do's and don'ts of Vedas, condense them into one do and one don't, and that includes everything. Always remember Radha Krishna. That's the do. That's the vidhi. And what is the don't? Never forget them even for a second. That's the one nishedh. He says if you follow that vidhi nishedh, you've already followed all the vidhi nishedh of the Vedas. So in Raganuga Bhakti, the only question, the only concern is my mind lovingly attached to Radha Krishna? Am I remembering them? Are they in my heart? Then I'm all good. If I've forgotten them, then I'm not doing it properly. I may be following all the other rules of do's and don'ts, but if I've forgotten them, then I'm off the path. So in Raganuga Bhakti, there is no requirement of any formality. If somebody says, I just want to sit and think of Krishna Leelas, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to offer bhog. I'm not going to do arti. I'm just sitting here thinking of Krishna. You've already done arti and bhog. I'm not saying to stop doing arti and bhog here in the mandir. We still need those daily prayers, daily practices. Otherwise, hamara man bhatkega. Our mind will just wander here and there. So we need some rituals to keep us focused. But if a person could just sit there and remember Krishna all day with no kirtan and no any other form of worship, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. So in Raganuga Bhakti, you have the freedom. Basically, the rule is, if it helps you remember Radha Krishna, do it. If it doesn't help you, don't do it. That's the only rule to follow in Raganuga Bhakti. But in Vaidhi Bhakti, of course, you're supposed to remember God as well, but you also are bound to follow all of those rules. And if you don't, then it's a sin, and you would be liable to be punished. So these are the two tracks you can follow in bhakti. So with Radha Krishna, the Raganuga Bhakti is prominent. Why? Because in Radha Krishna, the Premanand is being revealed, God's lovingness. And where there is love, formality recedes. More love, less formality. More love, less formality. So in Raganuga Bhakti, there's no requirement to follow all the do's and don'ts as long as your mind is in God, as long as you worship God and practice doing Rup Dhyan every day, it's fine. Also in Raganuga Bhakti, you have total freedom to adopt any of the 5 bhav, ways of attaching one's mind to God. With Radha Krishna, you can go into any of the 5. With other forms of God, there's more restriction. What do I mean by the 5 bhav? 5 ways of loving God or being related to God. Shant bhav is the first one. That means God is your ruler. God is your king or queen. And you are a subject in God's kingdom. So if you feel yourself related to God in that way, that's the most distant relationship, but it's still a relationship. With Nirakar Brahm, there's no relationship whatsoever. But with this Shant Bhav is with Paramatma. So with Vishnu, Shiva, Durga, you have this type of, okay, Almighty God is the ruler, and I am a subject in the kingdom. If you are worshiping any of these almighty forms, that's the bhav that you're restricted to. Now, if you go further ahead to the area of Bhagwan, meaning Ram or Krishna, then you have further options. You have the option of Dasya Bhav. Dasya Bhav means worshiping God as your master and you're his loving servant. That's much closer than being a subject in the kingdom, but there are still restrictions. There's still some formality, isn't there, between a servant and the master? No matter how benevolent the master is, there's still some formality. But the servant is much closer to the master than a mere subject in the kingdom. So with Ram or Krishna, you can adopt this Dasya Bhav. Hanumanji loved Sri Ram with this Dasya Bhav. And his selfless love for Ram was such that it captivated Ram's heart so much that Ram said to him, Ekaikasyopakarasya pranan dasyami te kape Sheshasyehopakarāṇāṁ bhajāmarinino vayam. Valmiki Ramayana. O my beloved servant, Hanuman, you have done so much for me, you have sacrificed so much for me in your seva to me, that to repay even one thing that you've done in seva for me, I would have to sacrifice my life on you. That would only pay back one. What about the rest? He says, I just have to remain indebted to you. This is the greatness of Dasya Bhav. There's a rule that God has, that however a soul loves him, he loves the soul the same way in return. So if you love him in that distant way, that you're my king and I'm just a subject in your kingdom, then that is how he will respond to you. But if you love him the way Hanumanji loved Ram, then he will love you the way Ram loved Hanumanji. This Dasya Bhav is great, but there's still formality, right? Just like Bharat said when he was walking to Chitrakoot to meet with Ram, he was asked, oh please, young prince, sit on the chariot. At least, why are you walking all this way from Ayodhya to Chitrakoot? And he said, what? Sir bal chalaun dharam asmora Sab te sevak dharma kathora. He said, I am Ram's sevak. That's Dasya Bhav. And it's the duty of the sevak to put their head wherever the feet of the master have fallen. You're telling me to sit on a chariot and drive over the footsteps of Ram? I should be crawling on the ground and putting my head in each place Ram has stepped. And he said, such is the dharma of a sevak. Such is dasya dharma. It's so difficult. Even Lakshman adopted this dasya dharma. The whole time, for 14 years, whenever Ram and Sita were walking somewhere in the forest, Lakshman followed behind, and he never once stepped on either one of their footprints. Even going through narrow paths through the mountains, he always avoided stepping on their footprints. So Dasya Dharma is very difficult, and there's still formality involved. Although even sometimes Ram forgets about the formality, and even Hanumanji forgot about the formality from time to time. Prabhu taru tar kapidar par. One time, Hanumanji and the other Banar, they were so enthralled in the love of Sri Ram that they were sitting up in a tree, and Ram was sitting at the base of the tree. Can you imagine the servants sitting on the head of the master? Such a big transgression. But neither Ram is aware to scold them about this transgression, nor is Hanumanji aware of the transgression. Why? Because they're both absorbed in each other's love. So where there's love, formality reduces or vanishes. Nonetheless, in this Dasya Bhav, there's still quite a bit of formality. When you get to Sakhya Bhav, the formality is almost gone altogether. Shri Krishna's friends didn't really think of him as God. Sometimes they may have been impressed by something he did, like when he was holding Govardhan Hill. His friends said to him, Unnidrasya yayustavasta viratim saptakshapastishtato hantah shranta ivasi nikshipasakhe Shridama parnau girihi. Oh Kanha, you've been holding this mountain for a whole week without sleeping or eating or resting. Why don't you at least change it from your left hand to your right hand, and we can massage your hand a little bit? Or better yet, just hand it off to Shridama. Let him hold it for a while. So, you see, they had some awareness, okay, Krishna's holding the mountain. He's doing this. That's amazing. And they start to think of him as God. And then when Krishna sees that, oh, my friends are thinking of me as God? No, I don't want that. Then he'll do something to make them forget. Like when he was holding Govardhan Hill and they started to think that, he just started crying. And then his friend said, oh, no. How can he be God? Come on, what were we thinking? And they're all holding it up with their sticks. And they're looking at Kanha now. They've forgotten he's God completely. And they say, what? He's just putting his little pinky? He's so lazy. He always makes us do all the work. So Krishna's friends are so free with him. Just like you see these kids playing who are here for the summer camp, when you see them playing together, there's no higher and lower. They're all just playing together as friends. So Krishna's friends never felt we are just souls and we are lower because Krishna is God. They felt they were equal to Krishna. And Krishna also didn't think, I am God and these are just small souls. He forgot about his being God when he was with his friends, and he just played with them. Imagine how much fun Krishna would have. In fact, there's a type of bliss, there's a name for it, for when Krishna gets to interact with his devotees. He gets a higher form of bliss than if he's just enjoying his own blissfulness. When he's enjoying his own blissfulness, that's called Swarupanand. Krishna gets that all the time. But when he's interacting with his devotees, like the Sakhas or Maya or Gopis, he gets Manasanand, which is like a competition between him and his devotees. He gives prem to his devotees, but now they have a divine heart. They're as powerful as Krishna. So they multiply that prem and they give it back to Krishna. And Krishna multiplies it and gives it back to them, and they multiply it and give it back to Krishna, and it's like a competition going on, which causes that divine love to be pratikshana vardhamanam, Narad Bhakti Darshan. ever increasing every second. So this Sakhya Bhav is such a great way of worshiping God. It brings you even closer than Dasya Bhav. But it includes the feelings of Dasya Bhav. So Dasya Bhav includes Shant Bhav, and Sakhya Bhav includes Shant and Dasya Bhav. But there's another one beyond that, the fourth Bhav, Vatsalya Bhav, loving Krishna as your own son. Imagine how much closeness there would be in that. I've never been married or had kids in this life, so I kind of little bit miss out on understanding about this Vatsalya Bhav. But even I still get some glimpses here and there. This week I was eating lunch in the dining hall, and one of those little kids, so little if he stood behind here you wouldn't be able to see him. I don't even know his name, but he just walked up and sat on my lap and started eating off my plate. So the sweetness of that is, you can't really put it into words. Why is that such a sweet experience? So imagine Krishna doing that. Little Krishna comes in and just gets in your lap and starts eating your food. That's like the Vatsalya Bhav. So Mother Yashoda is an example of Vatsalya Prem for Shri Krishna. She's even closer than Sakhya Bhav. Her love for Krishna includes Sakhya, Dasya, and Shant Bhav. She had no bhan. Bhan means awareness. No bhan of Shri Krishna being God at all. When he was still very young, she said to him one day, Krishna tvam pathakim pathami nanure shastram kimugyayate tattvam kasya vibho sakastribhuvanadhishascha napi kim jnanam bhaktiratho viraktiranaya kim muktirevastute dadhyadini bhajami maturuditam vakyam hare patuva. There's a whole conversation between Krishna and his mother. So she says, oh Lala, patha, you have to study. You're old enough now, you can't stay illiterate, okay? You have to study. You're just playing with your sakhas all day, every day. No. Now you have to study something. Kim? What should I study, Mother? Kim pathami? What should I study? She says, Shastram. You have to learn Shastras, Vedas. What will I learn if I study these Shastras, Vedas? Oh, you'll learn about God. God? Who is God? Who's asking? God himself is asking, but he's forgotten. In this Leela, the love that, remember I told you, Premanand makes God forget that he's God? He's forgotten. Mother, who's God? Oh, he's the ruler of all three worlds, Swarg and Mrityulok and Narak. He's the ruler of this universe. Krishna said, okay, if I learn about him, what will I get? She said, well, when you get gyan, when you get knowledge, that leads to bhakti. And when you practice bhakti, you get vairagya. You'll get detachment from this world. And when you get totally detached from this world, you can get mukti. You can get liberation. Little Kanha says, Mother, you can keep your liberation for yourself. I'm happy just playing with my friends and breaking the gopis' curd pots. So I'm going to go out and play now. So this type of interaction is only possible when someone like Mother Yashoda makes Krishna forget he's God by loving him with Vatsalya Bhav. So this is Raganuga Bhakti. In Raganuga Bhakti, you forget. You use these bhavs to forget yourself that Krishna is God, and you'll make him forget when you meet him as well. One time when Krishna was very young. Maya caught him stealing butter in her own house. Shunyam shunye choryatah swayam nijagrihe hayyangavinam manistambhe swapratibimba vikshitavatas tenaiva sardhambhya Bhratarmavad mataram mama samo bhagastavapi hito Bhunkshvetya lapata hare kalavacho matrarah shruyate. So Maya sees in one room, Kanha has found a pot full of fresh butter. And he thinks he's alone, but then he sees in the reflection of one of the pillars, because the pillars in Krishna's house where he lived, that big Haveli, they were studded with gems. They were so shiny, he saw his reflection in the pillar and he thought another boy has entered his house. And this boy is also holding a pot of butter. So he thinks that, okay, this boy is a thief. He's entered the house, and I'm also a thief. I'm also stealing butter. So let me strike up a deal with him. So mother is watching, and she's listening to this from a distance. Krishna says to him, hey, brother, you're a thief, and I'm a thief, so let's make a deal, okay? Matar mavada. Don't tell mother, okay? I won't tell on you, you don't tell on me. And just to seal the deal, I'll share half my butter with you. So he starts taking butter out and putting it in the boy's mouth who's in the pillar. So he's smearing it on the pillar, and then he takes one bite himself, and then he feeds the boy in the pillar again. And mother is just loving watching this whole scene with little Kanha. But then Krishna notices, oh, Maya's there. So he quickly makes up a story. Matah kaesha navanitamidam tvadiyam lobhena chorayitu madhya grihe pravishtah madvaranam namanute mama rosha bhaji rosham tanohi nahime navanita lobha. Mother, you're always accusing me of stealing butter, but today I've caught the real thief. You see this boy right here? He entered our house and he's stealing butter. I tried to stop him, mother. He won't listen to me. When I show him an angry face, he shows me an angry face right back. When I shake my fist at him, he shakes his fist at me. Mother, I tell you, if you catch this boy today, after this, there will be no more stealing of butter in this house. Because he's the greedy one, not me. So mother, you can imagine her blissfulness just hearing these innocent talks of young Krishna. So this Vatsalya Bhav eliminates all the formalities, and yet there's one more Bhav beyond that. It's called Madhurya Bhav, loving Shri Krishna as the beloved of your heart, soul, everything. It includes all the bhavs. Shant, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, all the sweetness of all those bhavs are included in Madhurya Bhav, plus more. It's hard to understand how sweet Madhurya Bhav, love for Shri Krishna, is. There are so many leelas. Maharas Leela or any Ras Leela is an example of a Madhurya Bhav Leela. But let me share a couple Leelas with you where either Shri Krishna is tricking the gopis who love him with Madhurya Bhav or they're tricking him. So, one time Krishna was in the house of a gopi stealing butter and she caught him. Antargrihe Krishnam avekshya chauram badhva kapatam janani gataika ulu khale damani baddhamenam tatrapi drishtva stimitava bhuva. The gopi caught Krishna red-handed, and she said, Maiya never believes me when I tell her that Kanha comes and steals butter from my house. This time I've caught him, and she shut the door and locked it from outside. I'm going to go and bring Maiya Yashoda here, and I'm going to show her, her son, that he was in my house stealing butter. So she quickly went to Yashoda's house. But when she got there, she saw something that stunned her. Over there, Maiya was punishing Krishna. She had tied him up to the ukhal for some wrong deed he had done. So the gopi has Krishna locked up in her house, and she gets here and she sees, wait, she's got him tied up with her chunari to the ukhal, and he can't go anywhere. So she comes running in the house, oh, Yashoda, you never believe me. And then she stops and sees Krishna. So Yashoda is saying, what? What do I never believe you about? What are you talking about? And behind her, Krishna is going, pulling faces. And when Maiya looks, he's serious. So this gopi is embarrassed now. Oh, nothing. And she goes back home. And as she's approaching the house, she can hear her husband yelling, Hey, Radhe! Oh, Ram! Somebody help me! And he's banging on the door, and she says, What's happening? And she unlocks the door from outside, and it was her husband she locked inside the house. Krishna played a trick on her. But one day the gopis got back at Krishna. This one gopi was very clever. So she was picking up cow dung. She was picking up gobar because the gobar is very useful. You can use it to put on the floor. It makes for a nice spongy floor. You can dry it and burn it. So she was collecting gobar in a little basket, collecting some, putting it on her head, going over to where she stores it, emptying it out, coming back, collecting more. This is tiring work. So little 5-year-old Krishna was passing by. She said, Hey, Kanha, why don't you come over here and help me? He says, What do I look like, your father's servant? I'm not helping you do that. She said, well, there's a reward in it for you. I've got fresh butter at home. So, you know what? For every basket of gobar you help me lift on my head, I'll give you 1 gulla of fresh makhan. Kanha said, that sounds good, Gopi, but the problem is both of us are illiterate. I don't know how to count and you don't know how to count. So how are we going to keep track of how many gullas of makhan you owe me? She said, I have an idea. Every time you help me lift a basket on my head, I'll put a tika a gobar tika on your face, on your forehead. He said, okay, that works for me. So he starts helping her, and she's putting a tika every time he helps her lift the basket on her head. Kanha is very small. He's only 5 years old, so his forehead got filled up very quickly. The gopi had to keep putting tikas all over nose, cheeks, chin, everywhere until his whole face was covered in gobar. When the work was done, they went back to the gopi's house. Kanha said, take me, I want my butter now. So she brought him back, and looking at him, with his face all covered in gobar, she started giggling. She was laughing at him. So little Kanha is saying, what are you laughing at, Gopi? And she's calling her neighbors, hey, Saki, come here, come and look at this. Kanha is thinking, what's going on? It looks like they're laughing at me. She puts a pot of water in front of Krishna so he can see his reflection, and he sees, oh, my whole face is covered in gobar. Gopi, you tricked me. And he took that water and he quickly washed everything off his face. And he says, there, now give me my butter. And she says, how am I going to give you butter? You just washed everything off your face. I don't owe you anything. Kanha said, Gopi, I've had enough of this. And he grabbed a basket of that gobar and started chasing her around the house. So these types of naughtiness between Krishna and the gopis are an example of Madhurya Bhav. Of course, there are many leelas where they're not teasing each other, where it's loving and affectionate. Madhurya Bhav includes all of those types of feelings and leelas. So in Raga Nuga Bhakti, you have the choice of any of these 5 bhav. But the question from the start of the week was, why worship Radha and Krishna? Because if you worship Radha Krishna with Raga Nuga Bhakti, then you can go into Dasya Sakhya Vatsalya Madhurya Bhav. You can love Krishna and Radha with any of these bhavs. But if you worship any of the almighty forms, then you'll be constrained to the Shant Bhav, loving God as your king or queen. So this is a big advantage. When you can engage those loving feelings of your heart in the same way that you do in worldly relationships, when you can use those loving feelings to attach your mind to God, that's a big advantage in devotion. So this is another reason to worship Radha Krishna, because you have the freedom to go into any of those bhavs that you want. And they're leelas because they're revealing the love between them, both Radha and Krishna, and between them and their devotees, which is a manifestation of these different bhavs. So their leelas are also very appealing. They're so sweet and loving and sometimes naughty. This is very attractive to our mind. All the things that we like in this world, the sweet relationships, are available in our love for Radha and Krishna, and we can see that in their leelas. So the leelas are very attractive. So it becomes much easier to keep your mind attached to God. And also the form of Radha Krishna. Radha Krishna and Sita Ram are exactly like us, form-wise, shape-wise. Our human body is just like their divine form. Although our body is made of material elements and theirs is made of divine bliss, their bliss personified, but nonetheless, to look at it, the shape is the same as our shape, so we can easily relate to them. So for all of these reasons, devotion to Radha Krishna is, it gives us these many advantages. So just to recap, it gives us the advantage of being able to love them with any of the bhavs, of being able to access and meditate on all those sweet, loving leelas. We have the advantage of being able to relate to them very easily because they have a human-like form. The bliss we will attain when we reach the divine abode is the highest bliss of Premanand. And to top it all off, by worshiping Radha Krishna, you have already satisfied everybody. All the divine forms of God are included in them, and the Devtas in Swarg are also pleased that you have worshipped Radha Krishna, so you don't have to go anywhere else or do anything else. So this answers the question, why do devotion to Radha Krishna, which we took up at the beginning of this week. बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की, श्रीमत् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे. I realize I kept you a little long today, so I know dinner prasad is probably being served over there, and you're all welcome to go and have the prasad. I think, though, before I leave, I'm just going to do 3 to 5 minutes of kirtan. I like to finish with some kirtan. We can just engross our mind in doing Rup Dhyan of Radha Krishna, but I don't want to hold anybody back. If you were planning to leave by this time and you need to go, feel free to go and get the dinner prasad. And those who would like to, we can have a few minutes of Nam Sankirtan. भजो गिरिधर गोविंद गोपाला, 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 भजो मुरली मनोहर नंद लाला, 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 भजो प्रेम अगाधे श्री राधे, 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 जेहि रसिक शिरोमणि आराधे, 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 रसिक शिरोमणि आराधे, जेहि रसिक शिरोमणि आराधे, जेहि रसिक शिरोमणि आराधे, भजो गिरिधर गोविंद गोपाला, 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 भजो गोपाला, भजो गोपाला, भजो नंद लाला, भजो नंद लाला, भजो गिरिधर गोविंद गोपाला,
गिरिधर गोविंद गोपाला।
लाडली लाल की
जय।
So you're all welcome to come up and take the arti and get prasad.
Radhe Radhe. Before we do that, we'd like